You're listening to The Portfolio Composer, hosted by me, Dr. Garrett Hope, where business and creativity go hand in hand. Join us at theportfoliocomposer.com for news, talks, and workshops. This episode is brought to you by Dorico, the music notation software from Steinberg that's designed to save you time. Dorico 4, Steinberg's latest major version of music notation and composition software for Mac OS and Windows, is packed with powerful new features that are designed to accelerate your workflow and make it quicker and easier than ever to go from inspiration to finished product. If you're a composer, arranger, or orchestrator, you'll be delighted by the sophisticated new tools on offer. And there are improvements across the whole application, whatever your focus. For more information and to download a free 30-day trial of Dorico 4, visit www.steinberg.net/TPC. Hello and welcome back to the Portfolio Composer. This is episode 252. I'm your host, your coach, and your teacher, Garrett Hope. This interview is part 2 of a 2-part series with Chris Alvarado from Driftwood Guitars. Please go back and listen to episode 251 so you can get the full picture. It is worth it. This interview was done live in Chris's studio, his building workshop for Driftwood Guitars, with the help of his assistant, Matt, who was filming this entire conversation. Afterwards, we all had some incredible scotch before I went off on my way. And these guys are so cool, Chris and Matt, and I'm so thankful for your time. You guys are tremendous. I hope that you enjoyed this interview as much as I enjoyed it. And for the listener, please pay attention to what Chris is saying. You need to embrace the fact that you are a business. You need to raise your rates too, which is something we get into in this part of the interview. Enjoy. I think there's this fear of risk that stops people.
And I get it.
I get it too.
Yeah. But there's certain times in life that come and go if you don't pay attention that are those moments, those jump off points.
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes you got to make them. But I've never, ever regretted moments in my life where I've made a leap. I think I look back at 2 points in my life where I made a leap, which was just like, I'm going to trust myself. And that was when I decided to just get out of the military to play music and build guitars. Like, what does that even mean? You know?
Right.
And then last year when I just decided I'm going to quit playing music and I'm going to go all in on YouTube and guitar building. And I've made those leaps. And the second time it felt like it was a freeing moment. The first one was a little scary, but I trust myself now. But I'm never going to regret it. I'm never going to wish. Because even if you fail, you still did the thing. You tried it, right? You did. Like,
I'm here in Tallahassee for a live event. I'm trying.
Yep.
I'm not going to make money this weekend.
No.
But I'm learning how to do it because I've done it digitally, and I want to do it in person. I don't want to sit on my computer anymore. I want to go around the world helping people.
Well, it's like my dad when he quit playing. He quit doing his side gig and started doing music full time in his 50s, and he was like, "I've never been so broke. I've never been so happy."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, yeah. And Matt and I always joke around, like, you see my guitar prices, and you go, "They must be loaded." No, like, we're just figuring it out. Like, we certainly aren't killing it over here, and hopefully we will. But the reality is, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, Matt literally comes over here for the last year and a half, almost 5 days a week, basically spending money, not making money, and knowing that the energy into the system will yield a good result. And now we're starting to see the fruits of our labor, and it's taken a year and a half, but it's starting to come around. And now suddenly, like, the world looks differently through I speak on his behalf here because he's not mic'd up, but the world looks differently through his eyes because suddenly it's like there's opportunities and flexibility with what he can do. Whereas just as a musician, you're kind of that, you know what that looks like. I know what that looks like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. I'll be looking for gigs. I heard a Terry Gross interview years ago from some famous jazz pianist, and she's like, "So, like, what are you up to these days?" And he's like, "I'm just looking for a gig." And it was such like it was such a passing part in the interview, but it was such a reminder. Like, even the old dudes have been doing this forever. They're just looking for that next gig. And, like, I don't want that to be my life. And that might be fine for some people, but for me, I don't want to be just hoping that somebody calls me and goes, "Hey man, Thursday night, $200, 4 hours, you in?" You know, like, oh, that's not what I want, because I want to make music, not play gigs, and there's a big difference.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some of the nitty gritties about business building.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so you decided, quitting the military, I'm going to go into guitar building, and there was this switch from hobbyist to I want to make money doing this. And we've discussed a lot of the mentality around that, but what were the proactive steps you took to move from hobby to business? Did you create a legal entity? Did you, like, I'm thinking of the people who are listening or who might be watching this and they're thinking, well, right now I'm not making money, but I want to.
Yeah.
So what are the steps that move you from hobby to business?
Well, I don't think that there's, like, one day you'll wake up and go, holy cow, like, this is a business. I say it daily in here, like, this is, like, turning into something. The old fake it till you make it thing is, I think, was created in this world. Because you truly do. One day you go, I guess I'll call it something. Hey, whatever the thing is, you got to give it some sort of name, even if it's your name, consulting services, whatever. And yeah, and you get an actual legal. You can go to LegalZoom and do it if you want. LLC. I'm an S corp. It's actually, I'm incorporated, which is funny. Some of the better advice I ever got was my tax guy was like, do an S corp. This is back when it was just me playing music, and now, all these years later, it's really working out, because now it's turning into like a larger company where we're going to have employees and stuff, and I'm kind of teed up for it. But yeah, you kind of have to just give it a name, and you have to like come up with a pricing model. It's tough in this particular question because it's like, what is the thing, right? But yeah, I'll back it up.
Well, what do you do? Just talk about
So if we're speaking about just guitars, I had been building as a hobby. And my first commission was a friend, which is how it works a lot in that world. It was a ukulele. Can you build me a ukulele? She was actually the head chef at one of the restaurants I played at. So I'll build you a uke, and I'll build it for you at my cost, essentially. I built it for her at my cost, because basically I went from spending money to learn to breaking even to learn at that point, and telling her basically the same thing. It's not going to be the greatest uke in the world, but I'm still learning. But what you get out of that is a really affordable handmade ukulele that might have some glaring issues with it, but you got it for super cheap. And then another friend. Slowly you start adding a little bit of extra meat on the bone there. So maybe I've made a little bit of money. I made $3 an hour on that guitar, you know. Suddenly I got my first unsolicited, I don't know this person who wants a guitar. And I'm like, oh God, I can't just, can we have a meeting? I want to have a meeting with you to talk about what we're going to do with the guitar. And I did not want to walk in there looking like a fool who'd done it the way that I've done it before, which is like, I don't know, what are you going to do? Like, build your guitar? That sounds cool. You know, that's not very professional. So I remember I got on my computer and I made like a price list of different options, and I felt like a complete fraud because I was making it up. Well, I was making it up. That's what making a business is. You're literally creating something from thin air that doesn't exist if you don't exist. And so you have to literally fabricate everything from thin air. So I came up with pricing, and I felt like such a fraud going into that meeting. I had a 3-ring binder, and I'm like, well, these are your wood choices, and okay, well, Brazilian rose was this much, and African black was this much, and you gotta remember the client doesn't know it different. They don't know this is your first time doing this, and you present the options, and to my surprise, that sounds great. And I don't know, I remember I had decided right before that meeting, like, okay, well, I'm gonna take 50% up front and 50% upon delivery. Up to that point, it was just like, I don't know, just give me the money when you can. So that kind of started turning into, now I've set a precedent, and suddenly the next person who orders a guitar can go, well, what I normally do is, even though if I've only done it one time before,
but it's normal.
Suddenly I have a system.
Right.
And then as soon as you start to do that, you suddenly start to be able to now to tailor that thing, your pricing model or the way you do business into a way that fits better. You know, you make some mistakes, you know, you start to realize maybe I should take 25% up front, or maybe I shouldn't take a deposit at all, or whatever the thing is. But suddenly you have like a thing, you have a way of doing it, you know. But yeah, it's still, when you get rid of it all, you really peel back any business or any company. It's just a bunch of people who made up a bunch of ways that they were going to do it and decided that that's how they were going to package it and present it to the consumer. But when you are the guy who's creating the business, it feels so weird. And the flip of it with my music, it was the same sort of thing up until my wife and I started dating, because pretty much immediately after we started dating, she started doing my booking for me. But like when I was handling the booking, it was very much like, take whatever gig you can get, and just kind of take whatever the town's rate is. You know, at the time, I think most of my gigs were like $200 for 4 hours, sweating your tush off in the middle of summer, and And then, when weddings or private events would give me a phone call, it'd be kind of like, well, where's it at? Who's it for? How many people? And kind of a la carte a price. And then suddenly it was like, no, we're going to come up with a pricing schedule. Like, this is how much I charge per the hour for this type of show. For private events, this is my pricing. For weddings, this is the services I can provide and the different packages that you can buy from. It's starting to, when this goes to that treating it like a business, know, and it's subtle. The difference between a musician who just is an artist and a musician who's treating it like a business, and you can do both without trading out. And no, you have to have pricing. You have to be consistent. You have to know that when I hire Chris Alvarado, for the longest time I was definitely the most expensive solo act in town. But that's the product that I wanted to be. It wasn't an accident that I was the most expensive guy. I wanted to use that as my sales point.
Yeah.
Because from the consumer standpoint, that actually, particularly where we live, being the expensive guy is a good thing, not a bad thing.
I think
for
almost
a certain type of
always
client.
is.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
They go, well, he's the most expensive, he must be the best. Even if it's subliminal, even if it's just they don't even realize that they think that. I'm certainly guilty of it when it comes to buying tools. What's the most expensive one? I'm probably going to get one of the top 2 or 3 most expensive things because it's probably better.
It must be reputable.
It must be reputable.
Yeah.
But in the end, when it comes to it, yes, deciding that how can I take, even if you're playing violin in a symphony, how can I treat that like a business? You can be just a violinist or you can be a business owner.
Absolutely.
And you even if you don't want to be a business owner, you still are.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice in the matter. So figure out what is my product? How can I create a measurable metric of the service provided, whatever the service is, and then put the price on it and figure out a way to present it to your potential customer professionally, invoice them, and to receive payment, and to get the word out that you provide that service. And that's it. That's the whole thing.
So let me tell you one of the similarities I see between what you do and what I do. So I'm a composer, and people hire me to write music for whatever.
Yeah.
And it's expensive.
Sure.
For when I write for a high school band, I charge $1,000 a finished minute of music. So if they want a 5-minute piece, it's going to be around $5,000. Right? That's just my starting point.
Yeah.
And I, like you, can only build so many things a year. So it's not a high volume business.
Yeah.
But it's a high ticket business.
Yep.
So you told me a story about transitioning into charging a little bit more, valuing your rates, coming up with kind of a sticker price, which sets a standard in the customer's mind. But how did you make that gap? Because a lot of the people I talk to and I help, they struggle with being able to say, you're going to commission me, it's going to be $8,000 for this.
It's
whatever.
tough.
Right? And some guitars, let's be honest, you can spend $25,000 on a guitar if you wanted to get all the things.
Yeah. That's what my guitars cost now.
Yeah, 25, really.
$25,000. My base price is $15,000, so my average guitar is $20,000 to $25,000 now. A year ago, my base price was $7,500. So
see, my most expensive guitar is a $9,000 guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm now I gotta get one of those.
Exactly. No, but it you have to do the thing at first, which is just get the word out, get the work, but very quickly, really quickly start to raise your prices the moment you start to get some work.
Okay.
I think that's where people screw up in the art world, is they start to they do that as trying on a shoe. I'll do the gig for cheap, just to get my foot in the door, or I'll do the other thing to get my foot, to get the gig, but they feel uncomfortable raising their prices. But man, you've got to have confidence that you're going to do the job really well and that you're worth it. It's a self-confidence thing. And you can't be a business owner unless you have some level of self-confidence. And I think that at its root is what I think that you do need to start off just getting your foot in the door, but you need to be quickly ready to move past that. If the foot in the door is just the beginning, value yourself and your service and know that in providing something that's worth something. I think so many people don't put themselves in the shoe of the person they're providing the service for, because it feels weird.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I think that, and I'm guilty of it, everybody's guilty of it. So let me go to guitar repair for this example.
Okay.
Is friends would come in and say, hey, can you adjust the action on my guitar? I've got this broken thing, can you fix it? And they'd come in and I'd fix their guitar, and then, well, what do I owe you? Oh, don't worry about it. I got you, man. You're a friend of mine. And then you start to realize, like, well, what got me in the door here was the fact that all my friends are musicians, and everybody I know is going to want a discount. And then suddenly you realize, like, when they ask you, what do I owe you? They expect to owe something because you're providing a service. If you put yourself in their shoes, they never intended to walk in here and get a free service job on their instrument. Like, so charge them. They're not going to respect you as a business owner if you don't respect yourself as a business owner. And if you're willing, and on the music front, if you're willing to do a 4-hour gig for $200 and you're not even allowed to give dinner, then why would that venue show you any sort of respect? Because clearly they're the boss and you're the subordinate. But without it being about attitude or like, I'm the boss, if you were like, this is my rate, I'm getting a meal at the end of it, and I need a check at the end of the night, or I don't, before I walk out, or a check before I even play the first note. If you set the rules, suddenly that dynamic has changed, like, because you own this restaurant and I own a business too, and we're equals. I don't work for you. You don't work for me.
We're helping each other.
We're helping each other out. Yeah. Suddenly the dynamic completely changes to a level, it's a respect thing, and you can start to charge more. And take advantage of it in that particular situation. I've spent years becoming friends with these owners and just talking to them about running a business because I'm interested in the business of business, and it's helped me out a lot because you suddenly realize, like, oh, I'm working with people who are self-employed. So let me learn more about what got them to the point that we can relate. Even though you're having to order, deli meats and salad dressing, and I'm just playing music, like, there's somewhere in the middle where I can learn something from your way of running a business that I can translate into playing music. As far as raising the prices have gone for me, I realized that, like, you start to just kind of put your finger in your mouth and hold it up into the wind and get a sense of what the word of mouth is about your company, your business. What is it that you do? And if you've done a good job, the word of mouth around the community will be that, like, they're really good. They know what they're doing. And if you start to get a feel that that's what the word of mouth is about the service you provide, or if you just know, I'm providing a really good service here, you get online, you realize that people who are providing the same services aren't very good, and they're charging even more. Raise your rates. The best thing that you can do as a business owner is to get no's a lot. And the no's being, I can't afford you. Because even the moment somebody can't afford you, if you're providing a good service, you become desirable. That's just a weird human nature thing for most folks,
Yeah.
If I was selling my guitars, a lot of Luthiers sell their guitars at like the $2,000 price point. My cost is almost $2,000 on the guitar. But say I built a batch of 10 guitars and sold them for $2,000 a piece to local music stores that they could then sell for $5,000. Like, or wait for it, I could build one guitar for $10,000 and market it as one of the best guitars in the world because I know that it is. That's the big one, right? Because I know that it is, and make one sale a year. It's less work for a better product. And it becomes more desirable because I show a level of respect for my product. It demands that the customer shows a level of respect for it instead of the modern way of doing things, which is, how do I mass produce it for as cheaply as possible? You don't respect that. Even if it's subliminal. As a consumer, it's just a throwaway item. And that applies to art as well.
Oh my gosh, it's happened in music, especially for media music.
Yeah.
Because you can go online right now and you can get some okay to decently produced music to throw in your video.
We use SoundCloud. It's $29 a month.
Well, you can do it for free.
I know you can do it for free. Exactly.
And there's all these composers out there starving.
I know.
Wondering, like, how can I make money? Well, it's because you've raced to the bottom because you haven't valued.
There's a book I read years ago called FU Money.
Oh, yeah.
Can't remember the, but it was interesting because he was talking about he writes copy for a living, and his boss, he used to write copy. I still don't even know what that means, honestly.
Words that sell.
Yeah, so he used to write copy, and for whatever the job he was doing, he was charging, I think, like $750. His boss came in. They were in a really boutique, kind of bespoke kind of a world, and he said, charge $10,000 for the same thing tomorrow. The only word that comes out of your mouth to a client is $10,000. And he said it was the hardest thing ever for him to get it to literally come out of his mouth. But to his surprise, the customer said, yeah, that sounds right. And instantly, he went from his customers nitpicking his work trying to micromanage how he did his job to the customer going, just let me know when it's done. And believing and trusting in his product, he'd send them the invoice. The invoice immediately got paid. By being exclusive and high-end and trusting, you have to be good. You have to be really good. That's the thing that people forget, why people think this doesn't work, because there's a lot of frauds out there that have a shoddy product that are trying to present it as a high-end product. But if you have a good high-end product, it's amazing, because not only does it change the way that you think of your product, but it changes the way that your potential customers think of your product. And suddenly, I'm at a point now with my guitars where the customers, they just want the best guitar. They just want the best guitar in the world. And that's my job, just to build the best guitar that I humanly can. And it's funny, because I was telling somebody the other day, I had a really hard time. I had sold guitars like crazy when I was like sub $5,000. That was an easy purchase for most people, like to justify. I could squirrel away money for a year and then buy a $4,000 guitar, especially working musicians. I really had a hard time selling guitars like from $5,000 to $9,000. That was really difficult to sell guitars. I quickly jumped from my base price being $9,000 to $15,000. Now I was at $15,000, I can't beat people off with a stick, because suddenly you've broken into a different echelon of consumer, first of all, but like it becomes exclusive. You know what I mean? Because most people will look at like a Rolls Royce and go, well, who can afford that? People who can afford it. They don't. The price doesn't even matter. Nope. They just want the best.
They want the Rolls Royce.
And you can figure out how to be a Rolls Royce in any industry. Like, I don't care what you do. You can figure out how to be a Rolls Royce. And you don't have to be, but I know that you, on top of creating your business, where in that business space do you want to be? Do you want to be high production, low cost, or do you want to be low production, high cost? You have to make that choice. And you might change and ebb and flow.
Sure.
But I find that it's easier to be the more expensive pair of jeans on the rack than it is to be the cheap ones. And there's very subtle differences between the cheap jeans and the expensive jeans. But the reality of it is there's plenty of people who are willing to spend $150 on a pair of jeans.
This episode is sponsored by Dorico, the future of scoring. And we want to feature real Dorico users so you can know that real composers out in the world today are using Dorico to make their careers happen.
My name is Tony Dobek. I am a composer, sound designer, and music production teacher from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Price was one of the main obstacles for me. However, their cross-grade pricing made it really easy and much more accessible. My workflow is just much easier. The interface is clear and easy to navigate. Took a lot less time to put a great looking score together. It's so much easier to control and get things done without pulling my hair out. The engraving tab is really spectacular. The amount of control I have over almost every aspect of the score is miles ahead of any other scoring software I've used. Not only does it make it much easier to engrave a standard score, but Dorico is becoming increasingly easy to create contemporary scores that call for unique layout and notation options. Their customer support is the best I have ever worked with. They are easy to talk to, they're easy to get a hold of, and I'm confident that I'm able to get a clear answer from them right away. And their play screen is extremely unique, and I love the way it's laid out and functions very similarly to a DAW. And the fact that I'm able to change the playback instruments to the same professional level software instruments I'm using in my DAW is incredible. I would absolutely recommend Dorico to anyone, teachers, composers, any musician. It's the future of scoring software, and it makes my life as a musician so much easier.
To download a free 30-day trial of Dorico 4, visit www.steinberg.net/TPC. And if the person doesn't buy because they think they can't afford, I say think because that's how you can.
Yeah.
When they go home with the cheap pair, what are they thinking about?
We should have bought the good ones.
That's right.
Yep. And the one thing I say overall in all this is not that you can just like decide that you're really expensive, but you have to find a reason why you should be that expensive, and then believe in yourself and your customers will. But it all starts with you. It all is, that's the weird thing about a company, is that we all have this idea of companies as like this, you buy some shares in it and you see it on CNBC as a ticker symbol. But the reality of it is like companies are just made up of people, and it can be as small as a person, and you are the product. And so present it as you want the world to see it. And it is faking it till you make it for a while. just enjoy the suck for a while.
That's the full quote.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's so many correlations with what you're describing, and I'm thinking about the people I work with, mainly composers and musicians, and they're going to say, yeah, but like no one's going to hire me to, play a solo gig in their living room for $6,000. I don't know. I'm just throwing out what seems like an extraordinary number.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not, because if you're that person who can afford a solo violinist to stand next to your dinner table, what's $6,000?
You'd be amazed.
Right?
You'd be amazed.
So what's your answer to the yeah buts? Like the people who are like, I can't charge that much.
Stare into that deep, dark abyss of the unknown, and it's scary, and it sucks. But my advice is that you still do the thing that pays the bills for now, but don't lean on it so heavy. Don't be afraid of using up the bandwidth that you have and being selfish with it. And that, you've got a commitment to your job that you do, but figure out how to spend more of your energy figuring out how to get out of that job to do what you love. But no, it's how in the hell am I going to do that? I don't understand how I'm ever going to be able to do that. But you got to talk to people who are doing what you want to do, not just the if you're a violinist, you're looking for the private gigs, other violinists, but talk to the kind of people who would hire a violinist. You got to surround yourself and be around people from both ends of it, the consumer and the product maker. Yeah, you just have to start somewhere, and sometimes it starts with you not making very much money, and you have to be not afraid to make the mistakes. Just show up and do the thing. And I have a hard time articulating this part about, and I've said it a couple times now, about how you got to get your foot in the door somehow. So do the gig for cheap. Don't do it for free, but be ready almost instantly to raise the rates, because you'll get steamrolled in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But there's always, you'll find so many people that are moonlighting with all these different little things. And there's always something to learn. I talk to business owners. We're very lucky where we live is most of the businesses, especially in South Walton, down by the beach, they're basically ordinances in place that pretty much every place is privately owned. There's not any franchises down there. So I have this huge network of people who are all business owners. Pretty much everybody I know owns a company. I don't know very many people that have a job. They have businesses. They mostly have a business. And you can just start to, it's a mindset. It's very much a mindset of people who lean on each other and they cheerlead you, and they go, have you thought of this? Or, don't do that.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And you're going to find that even simple stuff, you run a restaurant and I'm a musician, but the restaurant owner is going to go hey, make sure that you talk to this tax guy over here. He's the dude in town who can help you out, set you up with your LLC and all that stuff. But you can't surround yourself with people who have jobs.
No, because they have a job mentality.
They have a job mentality. Matt and I talk about rich man, poor man, stuff here all the time.
Kiyosaki.
Yeah, Matt's teaching me up on the old having more of the rich man mindset of money as a whole. But it's a mindset thing, and you have to. My brother, like I said, he's got that amazing job, and he could be a consultant, freelance all day. I'm like, you need to quit your job, start your own company. He's like, but doing what? I'm like, it doesn't matter. That literally doesn't matter.
Telling people how to do what you did.
Exactly. And he thinks that he needs to have this business model in place because that's the world he comes from. And you can't, and that'll come. But the first step is to just do it. Hang your hat out there and say, hey, I'm available to hire. And I know that can be complicated depending on your contracts with whatever, I don't know how it works in the symphony world, but I assume if you've got a contract with such and such symphony that it might be difficult to go get freelance work depending on...
It depends.
Yeah, it totally depends, right? So obviously there's that. But I think the biggest thing is most people are too busy cowering to the fear of losing work when it's literally that's the one thing that's keeping them from having work, which, going out there and saying, no, I am going to bear my own fruit. I'm going to plant my own trees that are going to bear fruit in the future.
Right.
And I don't want to, because you can't be self-sufficient if you always have a job.
No.
You're never going to be self-sufficient. You'll be lulled into a sense of success because you don't have any worries. But
until you lose
the job. Or the satisfaction at the end of life. Ugh. You just jobbed. No, like, I want to walk away. I want to lie on my deathbed, if it's now or 30 years, 40 years from now, and go, like, I created... There's things that exist that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for me.
Yes.
You know, every single day, hopefully things are happening that without me, they wouldn't have existed. This is always my stupid philosophical thing, but it's very true, is my collective art piece is my life. I hope that when I'm done, that it's not about the fact that I played music or I built guitars or I did this or I did that, but like collectively it can all be put together and go like, that was really unique. Like that human being did what he was hopefully meant to be put here for. The fact that I got paid to do it is just the ridiculous part. The old Frank Sinatra, I did it my way. I literally like tried to do it my way. You got to look around and see what's worked and what's not worked, but don't be afraid of just blindly believing in yourself if you know you've got a good product.
Man, we should just end the interview right there.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to talk about YouTube a little bit. That was so good. Man, it only took an hour to get there.
I know. Matt knows all about this.
It's a process. Okay, so this doesn't have to take long, but you now have moved into, as we've described an hour ago, into content creation, and YouTube's transformed your business. And I think people they hear these stories. Well, I'll just create a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I don't... Do you generally think people should? Or like, should
Oh my God. I'm screaming from the rooftops now.
Yeah, really?
If you own a business, start a YouTube channel.
Okay.
That, even to you, start a YouTube channel yesterday. So the thing about YouTube, and me and Matt are not experts. We are absolutely not experts in the YouTubery. But I can tell you that if I were to quickly diagnose where I think most people fail on YouTube, is they think that being viral is the success, is where you have to be viral. I gotta make some videos, and I want to make what viewers want to see out of the gate. But the reality of it is, in order to be successful and to grow a channel, you just gotta like do you. You just gotta present whatever it is your channel is gonna be. And you might not even know what the hell your channel is. In fact, you won't know what your channel is when you first start it. Very much just like your company, just like your business. But you just gotta start throwing it out there and be consistent. If you're consistent with it, there's always somebody who's interested in what you're interested in. And honestly, people want to see that they're not alone. I think in a nutshell, that's what YouTube is. It's people don't want to feel alone in their thoughts, in their views, and the fact that they can get on YouTube, literally query anything and find that there's somebody out there who sees the world through their eyes makes them want to be a part of it. But the real power in YouTube, in my opinion, is the fact that when you run a company or you're selling a product, that the hardest things are to find a customer and to find a customer that could trust you. And on YouTube, you get to create a product, develop a face-to-face relationship. They
feel like it. Yeah.
They feel like they know you and they trust you. They believe in you. They're watching you because they clearly believe what you're saying to be the truth. And when you do present said product, you've got a customer who already is interested in the thing that you're selling, and they trust you. Like, what? Like, you can't pay for that kind of advertising, and on top of it, you're going to get paid. You're not spending money to advertise. You're being paid to advertise. So you present yourself. You could pull back the curtain on composition and what goes into writing a high school marching band fight song. Mm-hmm. You could do a video on that, and I guarantee you that even if you don't have any subscribers, that if you just made that one video and sent it off on its merry way onto the YouTube world, that within a year it would definitely have thousands of views, but you wouldn't have a single view of somebody who's not interested in that and who could be potential clients for you, because now they go, you know what, we're looking for a new composer for a new fight song. You know, we just got the new mascot or whatever. This guy seems like he knows what he's doing. Let's reach out to him. I went from, before YouTube, getting maybe 4 to 12 hits on my website per day. Now I get like 400 to 1,000 hits per day. And our channel is not large. We're going to hit 40,000 probably in the next month. my phone doesn't stop ringing. My emails don't stop coming in. And it's people who not just want to buy a guitar. In fact, the majority of them are people who want to buy a guitar. The people who just want to show that they're fans of the channel or they've got questions. But I've built up my level of as an authority in this world. I've been a guy building guitars in his garage for 15 years, and now suddenly people who live in wherever have heard of me, and not only they heard of me, like you walked into our workshop here and you're like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm so used to seeing this on YouTube. You feel like you know me already a little bit. You feel like you know this space a little bit. I'm not starting at zero with you. I'm starting with a level of comfort. If you were my potential customer, of a level of, I don't need to explain myself. You understand who I am philosophically. It's just incredibly powerful as a business owner, no matter what you do. I don't know if you remember when COVID first happened, there was this younger accountant who had a small startup YouTube channel, and he was kind of doing like quick videos, like they were like 2-minute videos on like how to apply for the PPP loan and EIDL loans and things like that. But he went from and he's an accountant. His channel is literally just taxes. And he went from a subscribership of like 10,000 subscribers. Now he's got over 1 million subscribers. And I guarantee you he's in a much larger office and has staff and all these people, because people go, I trust this guy. He got me through this really hard time. And now I want to figure out a way that I can either buy his product. He can sell books. He can do paid content, all of the things. But most importantly, what did it do? It got the word out about his company. Mm-hmm. Where everybody else is out there trying to just sell ads on Facebook or, YouTube. YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world outside of Google.
Yes.
And most people, when they're looking to buy something or interested in something, they search either Google or YouTube, usually YouTube. And the people that YouTube selects to put in front of them and present to them as the presenters of that information, you trust. No matter what. You go, well, there's a video here, clearly they know what they're talking about, even if they don't. But that's why if you do know what you're talking about and you have something really unique to say, people are going to listen and they're going to want to buy whatever you're selling or whatever, And it leads to other things, not just selling products, but we get opportunities like you wouldn't even imagine coming our way via emails or phone calls from other companies that want to work with us. Or, opportunities for create content like that. I mean, this interview wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean? And it's just another avenue to get the word out there. I used to spend hundreds of dollars a month advertising on local radio, and nothing ever came of it. And now I get paid to advertise and sculpt it the way that I want to present it to the world. And so I make my guitar suffer more than twice they ever used to. I've now got a 5-year wait list that I had to shut down because it got too long.
Oh my word.
We've got enough passive income coming in from all these little things that are YouTube based that basically can pay the bills, and then everything else in here almost just is cherry on top. You know what I mean? And it took us a year. We worked hard. We did 135 videos last year. We're not doing anywhere close to that this year, but we knew it. Let's put the work in. It sucks. But suddenly you wake up one day.
3 a week.
Four a lot of the times, but yeah.
You have to film it, then you have to edit it.
Matt knew nothing about editing or never really held a camera before, and it was a quick study. I have friends who've got multi-million subscriber channels on YouTube who we got lucky in that sense, and they were do this and never look back. Forget one of my buddies, that's literally what he said. He said, stop what you're doing and do YouTube. And it was the best advice I ever had in my whole life. And he was so right. He said, not only will you make more money than you can imagine, but forget about that. You will have more opportunities that'll come your way than you could never dream of. Because that's the way that we as a society consume now, is through social media like that, not Facebook and Instagram and all that BS. YouTube is where you get to present the world the way that you are as a person. And it's just been a complete game changer for us. And as a business owner, I can flip switches when I want to. If we finish a batch of electric guitars, I can make a couple of videos on our electrics, and suddenly they move out the door. If I want to focus more on, stuff like this, we can do that. When I'm trying to build more of a relationship with my audience, it's an amazing thing. It really, really is. It's crazy. And we fell into that by accident, but that's what I'd say to anybody. I don't care what you're doing for a living. Start a YouTube channel.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask one last question.
All right.
That's one I ask nearly everyone on the show. But for the person who's watching or listening and they want to move from hobbyist to business owner or whatever it is, and their goal, what's one piece of advice you could give them that they could do today?
I mean, the answer is always easy with that. It's like start, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it really is that simple. Do one thing, one tiny thing. Send an unsolicited email to somebody who you think you have zero shot at them agreeing to do whatever it is. Send one of those a day. Take it 10 minutes. And someday somebody's going to respond and go, yeah, I'd be interested in hiring you to do that. Call up a company that does what you would like to do and say, can I talk to the owner? And that owner, I guarantee, is going to be like me, just wanting to tell you everything because I want everybody to succeed. And so many luthiers are like, don't want other luthiers because it's an insecurity thing, right?
Oh, it happens in composite.
Yeah, but like, there's people who want to teach and tell you and guide you and help you out, but like, you just have to start doing it. You just have to do it. And I promise you that the moment you start doing it, the momentum will build and build and build. And suddenly, like, it's all you can think about and do. But at first, it feels like this mountain that you have to climb. And I mean, I'm still guilty of it. You know, it's like we gotta fix some stuff on the website. Like, but the moment you really start unfolding the website and start really digging in, you get amped up and excited about it, and you really want to do this and do that. But yeah, and then don't be afraid of failure because you're going to fail. And that's something that Matt and I teach so much on our channel is that like the failure is where the education is. You're not learning anything if you're not failing. You're just, unfortunately, you're being successful, but you're not learning anything, and that's not going to do you any favors in the future. So do the thing, find the mistakes, embrace the mistakes as tuition. We always talk about Matt and I as tuition in the shop. Like, you're either going to go to college, which God knows that's not going to get you very far these days, or you can go to your college, the College of Life, and you can learn, and certain lessons are going to be expensive. But you know what? You would never go, well, it sucks because that class was, $10,000 and I didn't learn a whole lot. Or you can make a literal $10,000 mistake as a business owner, and yeah, you're going to be pissed. But realize that, like, some lessons cost $10,000, and you're not going to make that mistake anymore. And that's just the cost of doing business. Don't be afraid of it. Because if you can find a way to mentally change the fact that it's not your money, that's more potential. That's a $10,000 less dollars you're going to spend the next time around because you know that lesson.
You know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing. Yeah. So I think that's the big one: is get started and be excited about the fact that like you're going to fall on your face, because without the falling on your face, like you're not going to be successful.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love it. It's brilliant. Thanks for your time.
Of course.
Thanks for making great content.
Thank you. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was a wrap.
Yeah, I love it.
That feel good?
It felt great.
This episode of The Portfolio Composer was brought to you by Dorico 4, the most advanced music notation software ever created. Dorico was designed to save you time and gives you the tools you need to produce beautiful and readable scores fast, so you can spend less time fiddling with menus and rules and more time doing what you love, making music. Now you can take Steinberg's music notation and composition software with you wherever you go with Dorico for iPad. Whether you're a composer, arranger, instrumentalist, teacher, or student, Dorico is the ideal app for producing beautiful sheet music that you can share as a PDF or music XML, or print directly to your AirPrint-enabled printer. Dorico for iPad is available now in the App Store. Learn more at www.dorico.com/iPad. You can also try the full version of Dorico out for 30 days for free by downloading the trial version at www.steinberg.net/TPC. Try it today.